Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Mary from Decatur Public Library, and I'm glad you've joined us for a backyard fun story time. I love to get out in the backyard with my brothers when I was younger, and I bet a lot of you do too. And we're going to have a fun story time about brothers and sisters playing outside. Now, our craft that I'd love for you to pick up is going to be using popsicle sticks and a paper triangle to make a little tent, because in your backyard, it's always fun if you have like a tree house or a tent or maybe a bush that you hide under and play. And I have little packets made up with different kinds of paper so you can choose what color tent you want to make when you come in. And there's a magnet in there so you can hang it on your refrigerator when you're through. Guys, on Tumble Books, there is a story called And You Can Come Too, and it's about two sisters who kind of don't get along part of the time, but they end up having a lot of fun in the tent in their backyard with their mom and dad. And we have some books here in the library that are fun about kids getting out and playing outside. This one's called Under the Lilacs. And here's another one, Zelda and Ivy, the Runaways. They even packed their suitcases to go out, didn't they? We're going to also read some fun books about brothers and sisters and they're outside in their yards. The first one is called The Tattletale. It is by Lynn Downey, and it's pretty funny. It's about two brothers and how they don't get along at first. Let's see what happens. The Tattletale. I think we're going to learn a good lesson from this book, too. Mama, Wembley's brother William was a real tattletale. Mama. Wembley gets in trouble for eating cookies. He gets in trouble for jumping on the bed. One morning at breakfast, when Wembley had a terrible itch in his snout, he scratched it. William told. "Oh dear, Wembley," his mama sighed. "Scratching your snoot is unsanitary. Please go wash your hooves." William snorted. Wembley stuck his tongue out at him. "Mama," William told. "Wembley," his mama sighed again. "Please try to mind your manners." Later, Grams and Grunts sent a crate of swamp juice from Florida. Mama stored the juice in the trough. Wembley and William raced outside with the crate. "I call first," William cried. But Wembley wasn't listening. He was busy admiring his next-door neighbor, Iggy Hoggleswine, the toughest hog on the block, climb a very tall tree. That would not be me up there, I guarantee you. I don't like high places. Wembley was afraid of heights. His hooves sweated and his head swooned just watching Iggy climb higher and higher. In the crate, William began his countdown. 1, 2, 3. Wembley tore his gaze from Iggy and jumped in behind William. Zoom! They zipped down the hill with Wembley whooping along. "Hey, I called first," William squealed when they came to a stop. "Since when?" Wembley shot back. William told. "Wembley," his mama sighed for the third time. "That wasn't nice. What do you say to your brother?" Wembley could think of lots of things he could say to his brother, but they would only get him into more trouble, so he apologized. That night, as they got ready for bed, Wembley changed into his Captain Sludge pajama shirt. William grabbed the matching pants. "Give them back," Wembley snarled. "They're mine." "They're too small for you," William snorted. Wembley snatched the pants from William. William told. "Mama." Mama marched in and seized the pajamas. "Piglets, that's enough. From now on, you two keep away from each other. Do you understand?" "Yes, Mama," they both mumbled. As soon as she left, Wembley drew a white line across the room. "This is my half and that's yours," Wembley declared. "Fine," William snorted. Fine, Wembley snorted back. The next morning when William woke up, he heard a ruckus outside. From his half of the window, he saw Wembley roaring with laughter as Iggy cannonballed, kersplat, into an enormous mud puddle. Wembley joined in and got very dirty. But William didn't tell. He just sat and stared out the window. Now Wembley was in pig heaven. Iggy Hoggleswine was big. He was fearless. And best of all, he didn't tattle. Big Brother's having fun with the neighborhood big kid, isn't he? William watched in horror as Wembley and Iggy tore sheets off Mama's clothesline. They made capes out of Mama's sheets and played Captain Sludge. But William didn't tell. They even scratched their snouts 15 times and never washed their hooves. Still, William did not tell, but he sure is watching. He's got the binoculars out. He's seeing his brother get into lots of trouble, isn't he? But he's not tattling. Mama worried about William. Why don't you go outside and play? William just shrugged. She kissed his tuft. Try and find something fun to do, Mama suggested, but William didn't have any ideas. He doesn't have his brother to play with that day, does he? Later that afternoon, Iggy and Wembley began making a tree fort. Iggy sat high on the branches, assembling it, while Wembley handed him the wood. Iggy made a ladder to climb up. The final touch was a sign that read, "No tattletales allowed." William felt sad and lonely. Wembley began to climb the ladder very slowly. Suddenly he looked down, way, way down, and froze. I can't do it, he quivered. It's too high. Come on, Iggy said. Iggy snorted. What, are you scared? William watched his brother tremble. He remembered Wembley was afraid of heights. Without thinking, he raced outside. I'll help you, he shouted to his brother. William started to go up the ladder, but then he realized he wouldn't be able to get Wembley down. Wembley was too heavy. I'll be right back, William cried and flew into the house. Oh, poor Wembley needs his widow lover to save him, Iggy clucked. You leave my brother out of this, Wembley said in a tiny voice. He was very scared. Lickety-split, William returned with Mama. She climbed up and brought Wembley down. Sissy, Iggy hissed. William stuck his tongue out at him before Iggy disappeared inside the fort. Mama, Wembley gasped when he was safely on the ground. You rescued me. No, she replied. William did. Inside, Wembley erased the line in their room. Wembley apologized for acting like a bully. William apologized for tattling. They both promised to be nicer to each other. The next day, Wembley surprised William with a piggy pup tent in the backyard. The sign, "No tattletales allowed," was changed to "No bullies allowed." One brother was a tattletale, one brother was a bully, and now they're both nice, aren't they? Thanks, Wembley. You're the best brother in the whole world, William exclaimed. No, you are, Wembley replied. No, you are, William insisted. No, you are, Wembley snorted. You are, William snorted back. Okay, Mama declared. You both are. And they couldn't have agreed more. Now nobody's fighting. They're just playing cards together and having a good time. I like that story. Now we've got a song about playing in a treehouse with our brothers and sisters. And you're going to need some rhythm sticks today. So grab some pencils or something at home, okay? It's called There Is a Place We Love to Play, and it's to the tune of Bingo. And, you know, when you go in a treehouse, you can do lots of things. You can eat a snack or read a book or even play a game in the treehouse, right? You ready? There is a place we love to play. It's in our backyard treehouse. We can eat a snack, we can read a book, we can play a game up in our backyard tree house. All right, now we've got a brother and a sister in this book called Flora's Treehouse by Gabriel Albarozo. Let's see what happens to this brother and sister. Remember last week in our book about Doris the Bookosaurus? She and her brothers played pretend a lot. You're going to see some imagination going on in this book too. Pew, pew! Flora's brother leaped from the tree and aimed his stick at her. "Take that, alien menace," shouted Will before racing across the field. Flora watched as he zoomed off. She then opened her sketchbook. Will was a good muse, but also a very loud one. Flora finished sketching the aliens. She used an ultramarine blue crayon to color one alien and emerald green for the other. "Hey, what are you drawing over there?" Will yelled. "Nothing," Flora replied. "Just keep doing what you're doing." She gets some good artwork from drawing what her brother Will plays, doesn't she? Once she was satisfied with her drawing, Flora closed the sketchbook. She packed up her supplies and climbed the ladder into her treehouse. Just as she was finished hanging her new masterpiece, she received a very unwelcome visitor. "Aha!" cried Will. But her sign says no Wills allowed. She doesn't want her brother up there, she thinks. "Can't you read?" Flora replied. Will's satisfaction at catching his sister off guard quickly turned into a sense of awe. He sees all these pictures she has drawn. "Wait a second," he said. "What is all of this?" She has some pretty cool pictures in her treehouse, doesn't she? Flora was none too pleased with her brother's intrusion. "This is my private treehouse, and Are those the aliens I was just fighting?" Will asked. He was always interrupting. "Uh-huh," Flora answered. "How did you know they were blue and green?" Before Flora could answer, Will raced to another drawing. "What's this one?" "Don't you remember?" Flora asked. "You flew your rocket to Pluto, but then it broke down and you got very cold and hungry, so you hitched a ride on a comet. You got home just in time for dinner." "I do remember," Will shivered at the memory. Will couldn't believe his little sister had drawn so many of his adventures. "What about this one?" "That was the day you were a human cannonball. You flew the length of 6 fire trucks, and you set a new world record." "I did?" Will asked. Not only had his sister drawn his adventures, she'd made them even better. She's got a great imagination too, doesn't she? Will walked over to another of his sister's masterpieces and leaned in close. "Hey, you're in this one?" "It looked like you needed some help," Flora said. "The dragon had already gobbled up your mates, so while you distracted him, I raced into his cave and gathered the treasure." Flora couldn't remember the last time she had had so much fun with Will. She pulled another drawing from the wall. "I think this was my most favorite adventure ever." Will peered at the picture. "Hey, why aren't I in this one?" he asked. "You're not the only one who has adventures, you know," explained Flora. "Besides, I think you had to go to the dentist that day." She drew her own adventure under the sea, didn't she? I like her submarine. "But you were with me when I went to Peru," said Flora, showing a different picture. "Whoa," said Will. "Are those man-eating plants?" Flora grinned. "Yup." "And an escape elephant." Will gasped. "That's so awesome." Flora quickly grabbed another picture. "What about when you found the Pharaoh's tomb and all the mummies came to life?" "That was pretty major." Will looked very hard at the picture. "How did you know? Wait, is that you?" Flora chuckled as Will gave her a wink. I thought one of those mummies looked familiar. Will pointed toward another of his sister's drawings. She's got a little bit of bandaging wrapped around her, doesn't she? I wish you had been with me when I dug that tunnel to Australia, Will said. It was really hard work. Flora smiled. Me too. Though he could be loud and annoying, Will did have a pretty good imagination. She sat down next to her brother and opened her sketchbook to a fresh page. Suddenly she stood and clutched his arm. Did you feel that? She whispered. The treehouse is sailing away. Will stood and held her hand. We need to be careful of pirates, Flora. Hold on. I like the way they're using their imaginations, don't you? And they were way up high in a tree. So for our last song, we're going to sing a song, or actually it's a poem from Jayberry. It's called Way Up High in the Apple Tree, and we should know this one. We've had this one in story times before. We're going to make the trees wave, and we're going to make two apples up in the air. Are you ready? Way up high in the apple tree, two red apples smiled at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples. They were good. Boys and girls, I hope you have a wonderful week, and please come and see us to get your tent craft magnet to make it home. I hope you have a great week.